Here.
Ms. Miller? Here. Ms. Cantrell?
Here.
Mr. Newman?
Here.
Mr. Chapin?
Here.
Chairman Ballard?
Here. Okay, right now we're going to go to approval of the minute of April 13th. Do I have a motion?
I'll second.
Motion approved. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All not approved say nay. Motion approved. Development project update. Mr. Berger.
That was quick. Okay. On the redevelopment projects, I have one item which was in your packet, which is the ComStat report, and the one I sent out was, I think, for a 2-week period. You can get them for longer than that, but I wanted to get you started with the 2 weeks that I had available to me. And if you want like a full month each time, we can do that as well. But
Is that something that you're?
Yes, I think having a full month for a monthly board meeting would make sense.
Okay.
So, Teresa's got some things to comment on this. So,
I just noticed in looking at it, if on certain zones like 54 and 55 are incorrect on a few of the sheets. 54 should be 55, and 54 is not listed.
okay, this is on the maps.
Yeah, it's on the
Yeah.
actual map itself.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, under like thefts and burglaries are the only two maps that seem to be incorrect. I don't know how important that is. I don't.
Well,
know.
it's important to point out to the police, since they're the ones
Okay.
producing these reports, and we want to make sure the data matches the geography.
Correct. All right.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Any other comments on that? Otherwise, I'm going to go right to request for the code information. I think that was something that everyone would like to have. And I don't have that with me right now, but I thought I produced that report. I just didn't pick it up. Yeah, I'll have to go back to the office and see if I can find that maybe at the end here.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
Mr. Berger.
Yeah.
I think Amy has brought a copy with her. You might use her copy. Amy Powell. She was telling me that she had a copy of it. She'd been looking at it earlier in the week.
It's what I have is a 2016, all the open cases, and I was able to put together.
Is that what you have, Amy?
No, I just
We have.
May I come up with that? I mean, I will
Yeah.
stay.
Sure.
Amy Pyle, 136 South Grandview. I just did a report on what I knew in my area had been accomplished in the last month.
Okay.
So if you're interested in that, I would love to, read some of that for you.
Okay.
By the way, what was asked of us was to look at getting the code information the same way that Midtown Redevelopment Board gets theirs, and that's some kind of special programming, and we just don't have that worked out yet. We were able to download the database and put it in the same format. There's basically 4 things in there: the case number, the description of what the case is, the date that case was open, and of course the address. And that's the information that's provided to the Midtown Redevelopment Board.
So basically, it's a report of all the open cases.
And it tells you whether it's a zoning, abandoned building,
Okay.
an animal case, something like that. It doesn't go into a lot of detail, but it gives you some information.
Sure, please.
so will you be able to do it next month, or is this a problem because we don't have a person who's assigned like Midtown and Downtown to do that kind of report? And
No,
that's
we
another
should-
burden on what you have to do.
No, we should be able to get that. Again, our staff doesn't do that, and it's produce the reports. It's typically code.
Well, maybe
would
that's another
provide
thing
it.
we should talk about, is how do we get a person, again, like this redevelopment board used to have and haven't had in the last 8 years, but the other two redevelopment boards have them, so they can produce those reports
Well,
and
then we-
other things,
Okay.
like Charles and Jason.
Yeah, we don't have code enforcement officers or coming to the downtown board. We typically never see them at a midtown redevelopment board either. So that is not something we do. And I can certainly ask if that's possible of the police chief to have somebody come over one time and attend, but I don't think we'll get that on a regular basis.
So, if I understand, Linda, what you're asking is to have a code enforcement officer here.
Well, it'd be nice to have a code enforcement officer here, but on top of that, it'd be nice to have the same thing that the other two redevelopment boards have, is like Charles for Midtown and Jason for downtown, and they produce a lot of the information. I don't know if any of you watched the Midtown meeting yesterday. Did you watch that? And they had a long report on yard waste and the problems with that. And that certainly applies to Beachside. And they went through all of the things that are in the ordinance and the contract with Waste Pro, and the board members didn't know that, and they said the residents didn't know that, and that's because it's probably never enforced. That's not a good thing.
So, Mr. Berger, is it possible to have some kind of report?
Well, again, the report that was provided for code is the same that I'm discussing now. It's not. I think what was asked is, can we have someone like our other project managers to prepare something? They do not prepare any special reports. That they don't for code enforcement. Our staff doesn't do that. They simply take a report they get and the ComStat report and provide it to the board. In the case of downtown, they do not provide either report. It's just it's particular to the Midtown Board, and they've requested those two reports.
Well, I'm confused. Does the Midtown Board requested to have the reports? So Ms. Miller's requesting for us to have the reports. So
And that's-
what one CRA board has should be provided to the other CRA. We all operate under the same rules and regulations, do we not?
There are no rules or regulations applying to what a board gets or doesn't get. The Midtown Board asked for some information, and they've been getting it for quite some time.
Okay.
Okay?
So who do we ask?
Well, you already asked, and we delivered the ComStat report to you. And it's my fault that I didn't pick up the code reports when I left the office this afternoon. I can go back and
So actually, you're saying you are going to give us the code reports.
Yeah, I'm going to give you the code report.
You just didn't bring them tonight.
Right.
So that's,
But I think the question was, could there be additional information and reports that our managers provide? So I just wanted to clarify that. There's nothing else that they're providing. Every once in a while, you'll see a picture up on the screen of a particular house. I think if you've been paying attention to the Midtown Redevelopment Board, we'll have some particular cases where there's a demolition or there's some housing that's of particular concern, and there might be a complaint that's brought forward by one of the board members, and they want to know about it. So the next meeting, there may be some information about that particular case.
so what you're saying, Reed, is that those boards are not getting anything that we're not getting, is what you're saying.
The only difference would be what the Midtown Board has been getting, and now you're asking for the same thing as the Midtown Board. Downtown doesn't get any of that information. They haven't asked for it.
So I'm still confused. I apologize. I'm a little slow here this evening. So in other words, the Midtown Board has asked for something. I don't even know exactly what it is they've asked for, but Linda seems to know what it is. So the Midtown Board has asked for some kind of report, and you, as the redevelopment director, you've been somebody that's in your department has been providing this report to them that they've been asking for.
From code and from police.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. So we have the ComStat from the police.
That's right.
And we just don't have the code report.
That's right.
But you're saying from now on you will bring the code report to us.
Absolutely.
So
yes.
you will be getting the reports. So it wouldn't be a need to have a person appointed to get them. Am I straight, Reed?
Well, that's the intent.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I didn't hear it that way either when you first explained it. So
Okay.
thank you.
You're
Okay,
welcome.
would everybody in this board will be comfortable with Reed's report once he gives us the report? Is everybody's okay with that?
Yeah. Sure.
Okay,
Very good.
next item.
Okay. And as far as the other items that we have here, just wanted to reinforce the fact that our hotel projects are still moving along. I know we go in these quiet times, but we've got the efforts moving along in terms of permitting for our proto group, which is people refer to as the Russian hotel. The Hard Rock is, we were out there last week doing an inspection over at Lenox for a walkway that is a public walkway that connects the A1A to the beach. So that is in place. Now that's the temporary version until they actually construct it. And a lot of the plantings and what you see there is based on what the county wants to see. It's not just the city and its approval, but also the county. So there is some action being taken there, and there's been some other things that have happened with regards to beach driving on the beach that sort of affects decision making here and timing with this project. So I assume everyone read the news about the court case on that. So we'll just see what the next move is on the part of the Hard Rock. The other good news is that we're at some of the next stages with the Streamline Hotel, and you'll be seeing a lot of site work being done. So the parking lot in that area is the additional land was acquired. They're going to put all of that together so that you'll be one unified parking area and landscaping, and it's really going to change the look of that whole block. So that's my report. Answer any questions you might have.
Any questions? Anything new about the Desert Inn?
No, I have. It's outside of redevelopment, and sometimes I hear, and sometimes I don't.
Oh, they're really working on that every day.
There's activity over there right now.
A bunch.
Junior, yeah. Okay, anything else? Any questions for Mr. Berger? No? Okay, so we pass the public comment. We have, tonight we got a few people, starting by Janie Nazek?
Jenny.
Mr.
sorry.
Chair, are you doing the 3-minute rule?
Yes,
Okay,
yes, sir, yes,
that's starting.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Starting, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Jenny Nazak at 413 Harvey. I want to bring up an issue that affects the redevelopment and revitalization of our beachside, and that is the rentals, the vacation rentals. I saw the article in the News Journal today about a lady doing Airbnb, and apparently it's illegal for homeowners to do Airbnb or Vrbo vacation rentals. And I think, I know you guys don't have the power to change laws, but I'm just bringing this up in public to start the conversation about working on getting this law changed, like for homeowners to be allowed to rent out a cottage or rent out part of their homes. It brings in good people into the neighborhood. It adds to the lodging mix. It encourages the renovation of the housing stock. It's a really great force for revitalization. And we talk a lot about redevelopment and revitalization, and that isn't only the province of the big guys. You know, the residents are a major force in economic revitalization, and I think we should be encouraging and supporting things like vacation rentals, especially by the owner who lives there, and things like home-based businesses. So just wanted to bring that up, and I'm going to be working on finding some allies and exploring this law and try to get it changed. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. Next is Mr. Jerry Nolan, please.
There's no clock up top. Give me a second to settle in here before you start the clock. Hang on here. Yeah, I just want to have a running time because I don't have a clock up top. I want to make sure that I don't go over your 3-minute mark. So, you guys ready to go here? Super. Thank you. My name is Jerry Nolan. I reside at 330 South Woodland Boulevard in DeLand, Florida. I'm the asset manager for Cotona Partners, LLC. I'm here before the Beachside Redevelopment Board to discuss 3 items which have been a part of the public discussion for some time and which I would like to call the question of staff and the board. So that each of you can focus on my comments at the podium, I have prepared supporting documentation that I'll distribute to each of you, as well as the city clerk, city attorney, members of the press, after my 3 minutes of allotted time has expired. First question, why after 9 years does the city of Daytona Beach still own 144 South Grandview Avenue? This is an increasingly healthy neighborhood full of good people, including neighbor Amy Pyle, who is in lockstep agreement with me on this matter. Amy and I have communicated regarding 144 repeatedly over the last year and confirmed our unifying position again within the last 24 hours. The city needs to sell deliberately, publicly, openly, and at arm's length 144 South Grandview. Second question, why do substandard conditions, almost third-world conditions, exist on the city's right-of-way along the 100 block of South Grandview immediately in front of Cotona Partners LLC's 1.28-acre land holding, and ironically the same structure noted in the first question? Cotona owns 80% of the block on the east side of the 55-foot right-of-way of Grandview with 829 curb front feet running along Kemp, down Grandview, and east again on 5th. For years, the city has so neglected the public right-of-way that I emailed Redevelopment Director Berger and City Manager Chisholm in October of 2015. These conditions have continued and thus reference a photo of Grandview taken in the last 30 days, which notes the cracked sidewalks, weeds growing out of them, and a police car parked in the same location for a possible period of time of weeks. Third question, what is the city's intentions regarding a half-acre parcel 300 feet to the north of Cotona leased by the city from Larry Mullins? The city has an option to purchase the Mullins dirt at an ever-increasing price each year since the contract was approved by the City Commission. That 5-year contract expires in less than a year in February of 2017 with a purchase option price of $52 a square foot. Understanding this board has a history of not meeting for months, it would be wise to have open discussions now regarding this looming actions by the city. Such valuations like the city's options on the Mullins land and private sector market forces like the Streamline Hotel, which now holds 90,000 square feet of land with recorded debt approximately $50 a square foot on the underlying titled land. That's some real investment. Cotona Partners' 1.28-acre land assembly remains available for $2.4 million or $43 a square foot or a to-be-determined joint venture agreement. Cotona Holding is now the least expensive land available north of ISB in the redevelopment area, and market forces seem to indicate currently priced below par, suggesting that we should begin adjusting our asking price to factor recent public and private investors within the 300 feet of us. I'm going to distribute to that statement to each of you. I think I'm under the 3 minutes. Thank you for allowing me to present. If you have any questions while I'm handing this out, I'd love to answer because it was a fact-filled statement I gave you guys.
Thank you.
Sure. Thank you, John. Beautiful. Look at that. Right number goes. Any questions from anybody while I'm at the podium? I'd really enjoyed, in an interest of time, moving issues like this forward. Engaging or setting a time specific to meet with any of you. These are 3 very, very important things to us in the neighborhood, and I know Amy and I have discussed some of this. The first item, I think we're in complete agreement that the city should be out of the business of owning 144 South Grandview. The other stuff gets into stuff that we may or may not agree on, but we'll get there. We'll get there with the community, and we'll get there with our neighbors. I think there's consensus on a lot of things going on the beachside. So,
Thank you, Mr. Nolan.
beautiful. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Mr. Nolan. I do have some questions, but this is all new to me, so I got to digest this. Okay, thank you.
Thanks so much.
Next on the podium, Amy Pyle.
Good evening. Amy Pyle, 136 South Grandview. I came armed with a big list of good, positive things that have been going on in my area, East ISB, A1A, and Main Street, that kind of little corridor there. We've seen a lot of progress. I know code enforcement did a huge sweep of the area, both commercial and residential. And, there's a lot of activity now, I think, as a result of that. And people are kind of waking up and saying, let's fix what we got, So I also got cited, so nobody's left out, and I'm totally okay with it, because I bought a really, crummy looking house 6 years ago. And I've been working on it. I got up to the first story, and then I got involved with the BMW and got kind of busy. So back to work on the house. So I'll boil down what I was going to say to a couple of things that I want to ask about. I've been looking into, as Jenny talked about, ordinance review, things that we have problems with, that we might find ordinances that could be changed or that maybe are not strong enough or too strong. And I looked at some ordinances for South Daytona that talked about chronic nuisance properties and how they handle it. And then I asked our city attorney to show me, what we have in our ordinances about properties that are just continually code, and cops are there all the time, hours and hours and hours spent. And it was interesting to see that there is a charge that is supposed to be billed to the owners of property when there's an excessive amount of code and cops there. And this is new to me. Maybe you guys all know about this. But the charge starts to accrue after 15 man-hours of, law enforcement, or 10 hours that occurs in 1 week. So what I would like to know, and I was hoping maybe this code enforcement report that we were supposed to see tonight would have shown this, but I wonder how it's tracked, and I wonder how, is this enforced, and do you know of cases where this has actually been applied as a lien to properties for, we're talking about slumlords, basically, people who've, they don't get background checks, they don't really care, maybe they're out of state and they're not monitoring their property, and those are big problems for us, Beachside. So, we have talked about this kind of thing. I mean, maybe we need a 3-strike rule. Maybe we need to shrink those hours down a little bit somehow and look at it. But I would like to see how that's tracked, and I'm going to pursue, getting an actual, I want to see a dollar amount. Like, for example, on, 117 South Grandview, there's been some, gang members arrested there. There's been SWAT team over there. Seems like there's always flashing lights in my window, and I look out and, they're over there again. So I'd like to see how that accrues, and if the bill is ever given or paid. And then the other thing is, I would like to ask, since Mike Dennis is not here, I think he might have asked about this, but if we have a time frame for the plants that are supposed to go in at ISB. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much.
Oh, and the ComStat report is available online. I can get one of those, but we can't get a code enforcement report, so we would love to see that.
I know of an instance, I believe it was the old circus bar on Mason. It got to the point where it was so much every night that they enforced an officer being on premise and making the people pay for the hourly for the officer to be there.
Good.
So one more thing, Amy, I want to tell you.
Yes.
There's a board called nuisance abate. You've heard about it?
Uh-huh.
Okay. When a property becomes a nuisance, the city takes the property owner to the board called nuisance abatement. Then they go in front of the, if I'm not mistaken, is the Attorney Rice, who still is the chair?
Yeah, the nuisance abatement board.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. You might want to look into this,
I will.
but that is residential, that is not commercial.
Oh, okay.
The police department has a different things when it comes to commercial. When
Right.
there's a couple of false alarms or there is charges.
Oh, okay, but I was talking about residential,
Residential, that-
multifamily mostly, but,
I can tell you, there's a board called nuisance abatement. I'm going
Okay.
to look into that.
thank you.
You're welcome. Next is Amanda Moreno, please.
Let me ask you something about the protocol here. If I want to make a comment in regarding exactly what Amy's talking about, do I do that now, or do I hold that until my board comments?
You
How
hold
does that
down
work?
till the board comment.
Okay.
Right now is the public, and then we have board
That's
comment.
what I'm asking.
Okay.
Amanda Moreno, 412 Goodall Avenue. Hi again. I'm new to this role of actively engaged and participating resident. And in just the past few months, I've learned that the amount of passionate and concerned rhetoric that I see daily, either online or in person, is not adequately represented in these meetings and similar meetings. So that leaves a lot for us to do, for you guys and for us, those that do show up. It's a heavy burden to carry to represent everybody that has an opinion. Developments in the last couple weeks, and especially in the past couple days, although not directly related to your board, have left a lot of us feeling. And so tonight, I wanted to make it clear that not all of us are out there wanting to fight with you or to be angry with you or to bring pitchforks. We would love insightful and innovative leadership, and we would give a lot for that actually right now. And I know with what you have asked for in this meeting, what Amy has done with your recommendation at the last meeting, and with you being the new president, I think I see some great things, and I just want to let you guys know that we're super eager for it, and we will absolutely follow you if you would help lead the charge. Okay.
Amanda, I just want to make you a couple of comments.
Yes.
I want to make sure we understand you. We all understand you. We're an advisory board.
Yes.
We don't have any authority to change things around.
Correct.
City ordinance. All we are is just an advisory board that our comments can go to the commissioners and to the planning.
Precisely, but sometimes we feel like our comments can't. So
Every meeting, and speak your mind out, speak what you have in mind, and whatever you feel comfortable with. It don't matter what it is, because at one time I was on your side, I was on that side too.
Yeah.
So I know it's hard, I know it's very nerve-wracking to be on that side, but just bring it out.
Okay.
But stick to whatever is important to
Okay.
you.
And just, I know I don't want to take up any time,
no,
but
it's
just,
all right.
just so you know, what I've seen with big development and big changes is that a lot of these people don't like that. So I'm actually okay with just an advisory board, just someone out there saying, let's get the planting done. Let's do the trimming. I've got trees on my block that you can't park under because they're hanging down to the street. I'm not bringing that up here to say fix that, but there are things out there, there are little things out there that our residents, your residents, if we saw that coming out of this, you guys would have a following.
And I'm sure you heard me as many times as I said on the board, we all got to work together. It's not because
Yes.
we're on this side of the...
Yes.
We're not because we're sitting
Yes.
here that we don't listen.
Yes.
We all got to work together. It doesn't
Yes.
matter if we're the business people, it doesn't matter if it's the residents, we all got to work together.
Yes.
Because it's our community at the end.
Yes, and I'm new, so you guys probably do that already, but I'm new, so
No,
thank you.
Thank you, Amanda. Thank you. Next is Dominic Lumano, please.
Hi, my name is Dominic Delanoy. I live at 901 South Peninsula, but I'm here about the property about 300 South Atlantic at the corner of it at the National Speedway. I've been in that corner for 42 years. I see come and gone people. When I first moved there, it was a very nice neighborhood. It was a lot of business. Today, it's almost all gone. And now I start to understand why. Because I started a project about 3-4 months ago to make that a little bit nicer.
Do you have more? Should we pass this, Mr.
I got more of each property. This is 300 South Atlantic.
Is that the address 300 South Atlantic that we're talking about?
Yes. Well, it's the 300 South Atlantic. The corner is 730 Broadway, 730 International. Do you know this one? Mr. Berger knows about all this thing there. Since I started project, I understand why nobody want to come on International Speedway. Because it costs so much money just the paint, to redo something. I spent over $30,000 attorney's fee, and you can ask Mr. Berger that we have a full-time attorney doing this. I have another attorney working on the deal too. I spent over $15,000. It cost me a fortune. I was thinking at the beginning when I had the idea to do this project, that'd be fantastic for International Speedway, because for me to be there for 42 years, I was there running this business for the first 25 years. I always fought the drug dealers, the homeless people. Gino's is here and he can tell you. Mr. Mara is here. Tell you. You know, in my time, we didn't have no problems. When I sold the business, I started to get problems. But I took over, and now I want to make that place clean, nice, and very attractive. Like that, it will push the other people in the neighborhood to do the same thing. Because who wants to be next to a beautiful place when you have a dump? But you know, the problem I have with the city, every time I want to do something, we need a new plant. We need a new this. Oh, you have to wait 10 days to be approved. You know, it's never no end. Okay.
Let me understand something over here. Your plans are nice. That will make the area very nice. But your issues are with the permitting and...
I understand that. I understand that. What I want, my point is, it's not just for this issue there. It's I want you to understand why the neighborhood is not nicer, because the people cannot afford to do it. And as you can talk to the rest of the city or the people who made the decision and said, hey, what's happening? You know what's happening now? People do work on Saturday and Sunday to make sure no code enforcement is going to come. They change the sign outside. They paint. They do work. They do that. For me, I didn't do that. First time I came to see Mr. Berger, I showed him the plant. Not the rendering like this, but I showed him the plant. He was not too happy. Okay, but I want you to understand. And it's the same thing, I'm sure, for the people in the neighborhood. Okay? They cannot do nothing to the house or the property. Oh, we have to go up to code.
Dominic, let me understand. I'm just trying to understand.
Yes.
I'm trying to understand the point. The point is, you brought the plans to the city.
Oh, yes, in December.
In December. And we all know that the city has two speeds, slow and slower. So I
understand. Like
you're still within a good time since December. So are you working with the city on these plans?
Yeah, Mr. Berger just told me for 7:30 everything was approved.
Okay.
Okay. Now I signed a lease with the new tenant for the convenience store for 300 South Atlantic. That one there.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. We tried to get a permit. I don't know. Did you get some paper today?
Maybe downstairs on permits, I'd have to
okay,
check
because they're
the
downstairs,
system.
but they...
Sure.
Because, Dominic, I just want to say something. Like, again, we're advisory board.
I know.
When it comes to permitting, when it comes to certain thing, I think it's if I'm right, I think it's a little bit out of our league, right? But as far as you working with the city, I think the city should look at these plans. It's a lot better than what it is now.
Exactly.
I'm with that.
Yeah, I'm ashamed. I don't want to drive by.
But I think when it comes to permitting and it comes to licensing and all this, I think it's a little bit out if I'm correct.
Yeah, yes, like I said, also, I understand that. But I want you to understand, to tell maybe the city when you're sitting with them, to hold this building, you cannot put up to code today. It's impossible. You know, they come to me and they said, you need 10 feet. It was built in the 1950s. I have 6 inches. What am I going to do? Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dominic. I understand that. And Dominic, I mean, stay on top of it because it looks a lot nicer on the rendering than it is what it looks now. I agree. You know what? I mean, I know that property, and you know what? I wish you the best of luck, Dominic. Thank you. Anybody? Yeah, especially when you have 6 inches. Anybody else? That's it. Okay. Board comment, please. Sir? James? Lots of things. Go ahead, please.
Excuse me. As far as the 6 inches, the planning board is pretty good about making variances for things like that when it's rehabs on existing properties. You know, we recognize that a lot of these older properties don't have the space for the 10-foot setback or 30-foot setback on some of them, and we're pretty good about making variances for that because we do recognize that, you know, an improvement to a building, you know, on an existing structure. We went through that with Desert Inn, and a number of other properties. The Muslim Center over on Derbyshire that had the same problems. It was an existing structure that just wasn't within the current code. We're always willing to look at variances for that. And I can't remember what all my other comments were. There was a lot of stuff here tonight that was interesting. Oh, as far as getting a report from code enforcement, I don't know how it applies to this board, but perhaps if we requested from the police department to send somebody out to speak to us, they regularly go to the community associations. The neighborhood associations usually get a code report with a code officer who can explain what the different cases are about, and maybe we could request that. I don't know. I don't suppose it would hurt to ask them to send somebody every once in a while, maybe not every month, but that might give us some better background on what's going on with code enforcement, other than, you know, the code report, which, as Reed said, is very simplistic. If we want a better explanation, we might, you know, request something like that from the police department. And thank you, all of you, for your comments. It's good. Hi, Amy. It's good to know what's going on and how you feel about. And, you know, I've said it before, we are all business owners, neighbors, and, you know, we all kind of have the same concerns. We want to see development, but we want to regulate it and make sure that it's reasonable and beneficial to our community. And we don't want to lose those little insular neighborhoods that we have. That's part of the, you know, I was talking to Jim Cameron from the Chamber of Commerce the other day, and one of the things we were talking about is this is a town where you know people by their first names. And, you know, in spite of the size of this city, it has a very small town feel to it, and that's because of our little neighborhoods, that people who work together. And we do want to keep that. That's part of the feel of Daytona. It's part of what makes the city great. So keep it up. And I also wanted to comment on something that Kelly White brought up to me, and I don't know how it may concern this board, but there was a suggestion to her about the city creating a program of adopting streets. And I know they've sort of done that on international street side plantings. And I'm going to bring this up to the planning board as well, and the beautification board, and see if there's some way we can support a program. The county has a program for adopting roads. The state has a program, but we were looking at something maybe for the city to do for our city-owned streets as well, and maybe get some of our streetscapes improved that way. I know there's always a problem with funding on these things, and that might be a way to improve some of our streetscapes in the city. And that's all I had to say.
I have a question. James, are you saying that we would need to have privately funded monies to adopt the streets, to make the streets clean and well maintained the way they're supposed to be? Is that because there are no funds available from this in the city funds?
I can't
available?
comment on what funds are available, but there is a lot of issue in this city with our streetscapes.
Yeah,
and
yes.
there are a lot of neighborhoods that have broken sidewalks and just sort of unsightly. There are neighborhoods. In my own neighborhood, I go up and down and mow the medians because they're just not kept up. The property owners don't do it.
I do the same on my own.
The city
yes.
contracts it, but the city contractors come maybe once a month, and that's not really, it doesn't really keep it up. So, sort of a plan to just kind of improve our streetscapes, whether or not the funding is there, we just want to get it done. So I'm not saying we're dependent on that, but on private groups or somebody adopting a street, but it would be a way to see them maintained, maybe a little better than they are now.
Maybe even expedited. Get a little bit faster.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, at the last meeting, or the meeting before, I can't remember, John Nicholson said that there was $250,000 in our budget in the CR in our area on Beachside to clean our streets, and so I would like to know if that's true.
Let's go around, and you can keep that comment. That's a good comment to do.
You mean we're not allowed to ask, when we're talking here, to ask questions
we're
and
just
talk
going
about
around.
talk about a subject that we're talking about?
No, absolutely.
The purpose of this is to be productive.
Absolutely.
And on the issue he's talking about, I asked him a question. So you're telling me I have to now wait and bring it up when my turn comes up?
Yes.
Okay, fine.
The comment.
Mr. Phillips says yes, so that's fine. That's the way I'll do it.
That's the gist. He
Suzanne,
answered the
listen,
question.
the comment you have is board comments. It's called board comments. The gentleman there made a comment. We're going this way.
I
When it comes-
understand.
Okay, that's all I'm saying.
I understand.
Thank you. Go ahead, please, Linda.
Suzanne, I'm going to talk about the same thing. That was my suggestion to Kelly White, that we adopt, the city start and adopt a street plan, because the county has adopted a road, the state has adopted a highway, and a lot of cities in Florida and across the country have that. It doesn't cost a lot of money. All the city has to do is pick up things that they provide their trash bags. And just like the ISB group did, it's the same thing, only it's organized. And any group or business will adopt a street and put a sign up giving them credit for adopting it, and it works. We just need to do it.
May I just comment that on this issue, if you go to Orlando, City of Orlando, Adopt a Street program, I think that's kind of an example of what you're talking about.
I sent Port St. Lucie. It's a smaller, but when I moved from the Orlando area, most of the streets are adopted, and businesses get credit for adopting them. They have to go in sometimes 2 times a year, sometimes 5 times a year, and just do cleanup work. They don't repair sidewalks; they just do cleanup.
Cleanups, yeah. They got them in Hollywood, Florida, Hallandale, Miami. They got them all over. They're different programs, yes. They do.
I think we definitely need to do that, and I think there would be a lot of businesses, like maybe the Hilton in the core area would adopt a street, especially the east-west streets that are relatively short, like Earl Street, Auditorium, Harvey. All those streets would be easy for a business or a group to adopt, and I think it would make a difference, because look at the difference that it made on ISB just to have a neighborhood come in, but sometimes it's better to have a business do it. I have one other comment. A lot of the things that we talk about take a lot of time and money to do. This one I had talked to Reed about, and it wouldn't take that much time and money, and because we know the names of most of the people in this area, could we talk to people who own businesses that have display windows on the boardwalk and on Main Street, and get them to change their who their appeal is to, especially during the summer, so it's more family and beach related and not just biker related, because that's an entirely different thing. If you're here with a young family, you maybe don't want to take them down a street where most of the T-shirts are promoting guns and alcohol and strippers. Even on the boardwalk, it's like that. And like T-shirts that says, when the sun comes out, the guns come out. Do you want to have that kind of thing when we could have beautiful Daytona Beach T-shirts? We could have Bike Week T-shirts that are really nice and traditional ones. But I don't think, and Confederate flags, so it's a lot in there. I think maybe if we just talk to, or somebody talk to the business owners and just have them change their display windows, because they never seem to change. I mean, it's the same exact thing for months, for years on end, and probably because they're so faded out from the sun, they can't sell them anyway, so they just leave them there, and it just makes the walk very unpleasant. It's not a family thing, and with the city trying to appeal to more families and to different groups. Some of the city people have said it's great to have JetBlue here, because with a nonstop from New York City to here, that would make it possible for us to get a lot more foreign tourists in. Well, if we do that, we shouldn't have T-shirts in the window that says "Speak only English." It just doesn't make sense. So I think we need to. They can do that fine. If whatever appeals to Bike Week, that's fine. But when Bike Weeks are over, they need to appeal to a wider group of tourism.
I'm just going to answer your question. There is something like that. As a business owner, I can tell you that there's a city ordinance that says the city can tell you what you can display outside the frame of the doors. I think if I'm right, outside the frame of the doors. That means the entrance of the business. Inside, they can do whatever they want. Right at the doors, whatever they display on the outside, the city can say they have something to say about it.
There is. I'll just say there's one more thing.
Yes, please.
And
There
it
is.
needs some regulation, enforcement, I should say, and that's the coverage of that display area.
Exactly.
You can't just cover up all the windows, and that's something that particularly after Bike Week or something, it just doesn't go away, and so we have to remind people to get under control again.
The comment that you made, Linda, there is a city ordinance about it. There is, that it cannot be obscene stuff shown on the outside.
But it's always there.
Then it comes back to.
So what do we have to do? All the board members turn in a complaint to code enforcement that they need to check this address? Thinks, is that something we should do? It would be nicer if we could just talk to the owners, if everybody knows their first name, and say, hey, can you clean up that window and make it appeal to families rather than bikers just for the summer?
I'll give it a try, Linda. I'll give it a try. I know most of them. I'll give it a try. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, those comments would be better made by
Yes.
people who know business owners rather than the city. The city has to worry about
I'll
First
take
Amendment issues and
Not a problem.
content.
I know every one of them. I'll take care of it. I might even remind them. I used to represent the Beachside Merchant Association, and that we were very close with the code enforcement. And I know that there is a city ordinance, so I'll bring it up to them.
I am thrilled to hear that.
I'll
really
promise
am.
you.
And some of the things that are on T-shirts, when you look at those windows, I thought, I can't say that at a meeting because that's against the law to use those words in a meeting. I
Say
could be
no
kicked
more.
out.
No more, I know exactly.
So if you talk to them, that's
Yes.
really great. I really
Absolutely.
appreciate that.
Absolutely. I'll take care of it. Yes,
Thank
please. You will. Lisa?
Let's see here. Thank you, everybody, for your participation. I did read the article about the Airbnb also, and I actually have stayed at a VRBO before, actually in Ponce Inlet area, and it was very nice. And I was unaware that there's certain areas that you're not allowed to do that in, so that was informative. But even though I know we're thinking that that would be a good thing, sometimes it can be a bad thing. So I would caution thinking about just all the great things that that would bring, but some of the negative things that that would bring. Because I know sometimes we're thinking about properties here that aren't being watched and how the owners aren't on property. And if they're able to rent their property out, they could show a gorgeous picture over the internet, and then when someone shows up, it's not so great. But there also could be some other negative things. So just, I'd be curious to find out what you find out about that, and the fact that that person did pay the bed tax. That was great too. Other than that, I think the Adopt a Street program would be an amazing program for the area. I know I sit on another board, and the Young Professionals group, they adopted 1 mile of the beach and stuff like that. So there's a commitment to it, guidelines, and it's very structured. And we haven't done our first cleanup yet, but it's a commitment, I think 4 times a year. But it just depends on, I guess, the rules and regulations. So, yeah, I think that would be a great idea for the area. So, and Hilton would love to jump on board with that too. Other than that, I don't have any other comments.
Actually, Teresa, that is a good program that the young professionals are putting out as far as Adopt.
Mm-hmm.
I saw it, I know it, it's a very good.
Excellent.
My turn.
Please.
I think the whole idea with the streets is an issue. I think a lot of people, what I hear, especially on the beach side, is that they feel as if they're being ignored, especially with properties and street fronts, and how the projects on Orange Avenue are getting more attention. And that's the more and more what I'm hearing, especially here, is that people, especially on the beach side, they feel like they're being ignored and being passed over. But I think it's a matter of time. Maybe if there's it's almost near to impossible to even have like a timeline to see when it will be attended to or whatever. But I think the Adopt a Street is a great idea. I never even thought about it till now. If we got businesses and maybe residents alike to put something into a fund locally in some square area from where you're at, it's a start. Even if it's just as planters, whatever we can do, I'm behind it. I think it's a great idea.
And I think a lot of the adoption programs is more or less manpower.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You know, it's almost all that's manpower. And then, you know, good faith, goodwill happens from there. You know, somebody happens to be there, they happen to work at a store that has whatever, and, you know, things start to happen. So
that's it.
Suzanne?
In regards to the Adopt a Street thing, I understand that it's a wonderful, positive thing to do, and I'm all behind it. And I give volunteer work. I clean up half of my own street. So I'm not against that. What I would like to know, as a taxpayer who pays taxes that funds the CRA responsibilities, John Nicholson said there's $250,000 in a fund to clean the Beachside CRA area. And all I'm asking is, and we've talked about this before, Reed, on several occasions, just privately, you and I, if there's funds available, I would like to see my street cleaned and maintained and the trees and the bushes trimmed. And I've lived there for 5 years and I've never seen it. So I'm just asking, as a taxpayer, if there's money in a fund that's supposed to clean the streets within, are they the residential streets, or maybe they're just the commercial streets, Reed? Is that the case?
I cannot tell you what that 250,000 number is and what it refers to. I can tell you that in terms of additional work over and beyond what the city does to maintain streets in those areas where there is streetscape, we and the boardwalk in those areas, you'll see the streets team, you'll see other crews that are out there, and in public works does have 3 people that are paid directly out of the CRA funds to take care of the streetscape area, these improved areas, which are commercial areas, and that is probably the only cost I can think of. I don't think it comes anywhere near $250,000.
Okay, so then I'm going to stop trying to figure out how to get the streets cleaned with the CRA monies, because it sounds to me like the residential streets aren't included anyway. Is that correct?
That's correct. That would be
Good.
that would be, if there's an issue about street cleaning, it's really Public Works and what they have to do to stretch their resources throughout the city.
So the CRA funds are just for the streetscape, like Main Street and A1A, the streetscape streets.
Yeah, where
Oh,
the tourist areas are and where it gets pretty intensive and we need to clean it up.
God, I wish I'd have known that a year ago, and I would have quit bugging you.
Oh, no, that's okay. I just couldn't find it.
Okay, all right. Now, I have another comment about something else. There are now several hundred residents, homeowners and residents who live in the CRA district on Beachside, who have become extremely involved and active politically and socially in their community. And in talking to these people, I see these people all the time because I go to all of the Beachside meetings, not just in the CRA. I go to Santa, I go to Bel Air, I go to Beachside Watch, I go to Seabreeze. I go to all of them. And I talk to people all the time that live on Beach Street and are homeowners. And there is a huge disconnect between the people on this board and the people that are homeowners in the CRA and the Beachside area. And I looked online, and I said, what is this redevelopment board supposed to do, the members of the board? And in bold print in the first page, in the first big paragraph, it said that the board members of a CRA community, a redevelopment community, are expected to interact with the neighborhood associations. So I would invite all of you that sit on this board to come and interact with the neighborhood associations on Beachside, especially in the CRA area, where this board represents those people. And most of the board members on this board are business owners. And there's dozens of business owners, but there's a few of us on the board that are representing as a residential homeowner, and there's hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of us. So the people come here because they're frustrated, because their neighborhood is not being treated right. It's not being taken care of correctly. And so they come here, they look at you and me and all of us, they look at us as their voice, their representative. And that's what we're supposed to be. And that's why I was disappointed, Mr. Chairman, when the first thing you did as a chairperson was to put a 3-minute limit on them, because on the nights that we don't have an agenda, anything on the agenda, these people could come here and we could make this an exchange of ideas and create ideas of how they and we can make the area that we live in a better place. And to me, that would be a wonderful fulfillment of the purpose of this board. Because I will tell you right now, I haven't talked to one single family homeowner or resident who thinks this board represents them in any way. So come and join us. Come and see what we're talking about at every meeting. That's all I just want to say. I invite you to come to all of them, especially come to the Beachside Watch meeting, where you're just seeing a half a dozen people, but there are hundreds of them out there. I talk to them all the time, and it's becoming really, really active. Citizens are really being active, and they're really being proactive to make our neighborhood a beautiful, safe place to live again, which it is not. And I want to say this. This is really a positive thing. Thanks to the Amy Pyle and the other people that have been here tonight, we now at the Beachside Watch meeting, Hector Garcia, the code enforcement director, he's there every meeting. The new captain of the police, Captain Kershaw on the Beachside precinct, she's at every one of our monthly meetings. The 5-member drug squad team is at every one of our meetings, and they're asking the neighbors, tell us which houses are the drug dealers in, which houses are the drugs being done in. They're out there busting them, and I have lived there for 5 years, and this is the first time I've seen code enforcement and law enforcement working with the residents. So the first time I was there and they talked, I said, well, how do we get a hold of you? I said, because I know where a lot of that is in the neighborhood. And they said, call Amy, she's got us on speed dial. And Captain started laughing, and she said, if you can't get a hold of Amy, she said, you just call me, and she said, I'll get a hold of the SWAT team. So the city, thank you code enforcement. Thank you, law enforcement, for the CRA area on Beachside, because they are really getting in there and really cleaning it up. And we're real thankful. Okay?
Mr. Schaefer? Do you know? Okay. I got a couple of comments. Suzanne, to answer your question, the reason I put the 3 minutes, do you remember the meeting just before that 3 minutes? I called the 3 minutes. You remember the gentleman that was here?
Yes. I pointed out he was the only one that had ever done that.
I understand that. But it's in everybody's, I thought with everybody that it's better off for somebody to stand there for 3 minutes and talk about a subject that really, instead of talking about 15 different subjects, but sticking to one subject that is important. Okay? So I did not do it just despite not thinking about it. Okay? All right, number one. Number two, we should not separate the business people and we should not separate the residents. We all live in the same community. You've been here for 5 years. You've done a lot of work for 5 years. But there's business people that have been here for many, many years. Many, many years. I've done a lot of work. We cannot separate those two groups. It should never happen. It was done 20 years ago. It should never happen. Everybody should work together. It doesn't matter if it's a street, if it's a business person, or if it's a residence. We all should work together. Point number three. There's enough room over here for 300 people if they want to come in. Mm-hmm. You know, you said hundreds and hundreds. Amy is here at every meeting. These people are here at every meeting. Everybody else is free to come and say whatever they want. We're not stopping them. I don't think anybody here is stopping anybody to come and speak their mind out.
I didn't say that.
I understand that, but you said
don't put words in my mouth, okay?
All right. You said that we represent and we misrepresent. They're free to come and speak their mind out anytime they want. That's what this thing here, this board is. Now, as far as this board is concerned, this board is an advisory board. We can hear any concern people have, any citizen, but we have no authority to change, or we can only advise or we can give advice to planning board or city commission. What they decide to do, it's not up to us.
Why are you telling me this? You're not addressing what I said.
Okay. All right. Let me go to another thing that I want to say. I want to thank all the residents for coming in, and I hear a lot about the work that you guys are doing, not only on Grandview, on Speedway, on all the other streets, on those areas. The other thing, Dominic, please stick to those things and keep working on those plans. It is going to make a beautiful corner. Mr. Nolan, you haven't been around. We haven't seen you for a long time. Keep coming to these meetings.
You guys only met 3 times in the last year. I would have come more often.
You're more than welcome to come. Everybody else, everybody's free to speak their mind out. We're here to listen to you guys, and then whatever we hear from you guys, we can advise and we can refer to other board members. So all I want to say, thank you everybody, and this meeting's adjourned.